Hello, my name is Chris and I'm a U-Haul hitch professional. If you're planning on towing a trailer with the Stealth hitch on your Tesla Model 3, then you're going to need the towing kit with wiring installed. It is required by law. Now let's take a look at how we complete this install. You will need the following tools or supplies to complete this installation. The stealth wiring installation is best done while you're doing the hitch install, so the fascia can already be removed. If you're doing this after the fact and you already have the stealth hitch on, I'm going to link the stealth hitch installation video up above, and that will show you how to remove the fascia and get you to here. Begin this installation by assessing whether or not you have the provided 12-volt power adapter or whether or not you will need to route a power wire from the frunk. As you can see, we have the 12-volt adapter, so we do not need to route a power wire from the frunk of the vehicle. You can now route the power wire to this grommet, which we will all use to get our wires inside the vehicle. Drill a hole out of the center of the grommet using a 3/8 drill bit and a pair of needle nose pliers to keep your fingers clear. You can now reinsert the grommet. We can now route the power wire to the grommet and zip tie it and return to connect it later. The power adapter has some built-in slack. Stretch it to the passenger side of the vehicle so we know where to zip tie our power adapter, making sure we have enough slack to plug them in. You can now pass your power wire and your 4 flat connector wires through the previously drilled grommet. Now pass the wires into the vehicle. Make sure not to use up all the slack. We need to get this to the receiver. Once we've made all the wire connections, we will come back to reseat the grommet. In order to route the wires from the passenger side to the driver's side, we're going to need to remove this rear scuff panel. Let's first move this floorboard out of the way. We can then gently pull up on the scuff panel. We can now remove 4 trim clips to gain access behind the liner. Use a flathead screwdriver to pop them loose. On the passenger side of the vehicle, we will begin installing the wires, starting with our ground wire that we will affix to this nut right here. Start by trimming off some of the excess white wire and installing the ring terminal. Use a 10mm socket to loosen the ground screw. You can now pass the open-ended ring terminal between the bolt and the existing grounding wires. We're now ready to install the fuse holder into the power wire. If you had to route the power wire from the frunk, hopefully you have installed this at the 12-volt battery and used the provided ring terminal that's already installed. We need to butt connector it in between 2 black wires, so we're going to trim this off and connect it in place. Trim off the ring terminal as well any excess power wire. Before fully connecting, remove your fuse and return to insert it later. We're now ready to begin installing the wire harness, but first we need to test the vehicle to confirm its functionalities. You will need to plug the taillights back in order to get the proper signal. Now the directions have called out some colors, but I do want to reiterate that you need to test yourself because I found my color scheme to be different than the directions. With testing finished, you can remove the tail light once again to get more access to the harness. We can now install our signal wires. Remember, we're on the passenger side, so we need to keep the passenger side short, but we can also get brakes and running lights from this side, so the only wire we need to keep long is yellow. So let's go ahead and trim these other excesses off. Insert the vehicle signal wire and the converter signal wire and loosely clamp closed the tap in. Then use a pair of linesman's pliers to securely clamp it in place. Use a bit of electrical tape to secure the tap-ins. We can now connect the converter box output wires to the wires on the 4-flat that we passed through the grommet. Match them color to color using the provided red butt connectors. Use a heat source of your choice to melt the heat shrink butt connectors. Use some electrical tape to tape up the 3 signal wires on the passenger side. You can now bring your yellow wire to behind the driver's side tail light. And after we make the connection, we will return and stuff it behind the liner afterwards. You can now use the provided double-sided tape to hide the converter box behind the trim panel. Use electrical tape or zip ties to secure any excess wiring. As well, keep your fuse holder accessible near the top of the trim. And we can now insert our provided fuse. You can now return and connect your power adapter. Depress the tab and remove the cover. We can now reseat the rubber grommet. Pass your 4-flat connector over the reinforcement beam, and behind it, affix the magnet to the hitch plate. And then insert the wire of the 4-flat connector. To begin returning the fascia to the vehicle, you will want to make sure that this plastic flange on the underbody panel goes between this underbody panel and the metal cross member. Starting here will help returning the fascia to be easier. You can now lift the fascia into place. You will find it necessary to pull the fascia and stretch it into place. You can now begin pushing the fascia, working from left to right. You can now reinstall all the fasteners. If your clamp nut came loose, be sure to reinstall it on the bumper fascia so that you can reinstall the torque bit. Your clamp nut will need to be placed on the fascia like so. However, it does not install well and can cut the fascia. So let's go ahead and push the fascia back and then install it. You can now replace the wheels trim and reinstall the 3 trim clips. Now reinstall your taillights and the interior trim. Be sure to push in the red locking tab. You will need to fix the weather stripping after you return the scuff panel. It may not even fully clip into place until you have fixed the weather stripping. Return the carpeted liner to underneath the weather stripping. Finally finishing with the roof trim panel. Insert your 2 trim fasteners before we can fully seat the upper trim. You can now begin fixing the weather stripping and pressing this trim back into place. With the wiring harness installed, let's take a look at how we'll access our 4-flat connector. Use a flathead screwdriver to turn 2 trim retainers 90 degrees counterclockwise. The panel can then be pulled from the vehicle. The 4-flat connector can now be accessed on the passenger side where we previously stuck it on the magnet. Install your dust cover, and you can now access and store the wires for future use by utilizing the magnet on the hitch. The wiring kit will include a mount and a ball that will put it at the right height for the Tesla Model 3. Let's go ahead and take a look at how we put it together. Always lock with the key. We're now going to tighten the ball on the pre-included mount. You're going to need an 1.5 inch socket, your torque wrench to torque to the manufacturer specifications. As well, you will need an 1 5/8 open-ended wrench to grab the ball. Be sure that the washer is below the mount and above the nut. That concludes the Stealth Towing Kit install for your Tesla Model 3. Thank you for watching. Please remember to practice safe trailering, and I can't wait to see you out there. If you have any questions about the products seen in this video, or if you'd like to schedule an installation with your local U-Haul hitch professional, please visit us online at uhaulhitches.com. You can also download the U-Haul app using the link in the description for even more ways to manage your hitch and towing needs.